The truth doesn't just leak out, it fights back.
Bring your fire and foam. He traces shattered roofs with a battle-worn pen, turning losses to justice again and again. Every denied dream starts shaking the floor as the cybernetic warrior pounds at the door. One strikes like a machine
In a duel for the voices,
the world's never seen. Oh, raise the flag, let the engines roar. We're going to war for what they can't ignore.
What's going on, everybody? I am your host, Virgil J. Stillwell, and thank you guys for all that are going to take a look at this video. I'm a licensed public adjuster in the state of Oklahoma, and hopefully pretty soon in the state of Texas as well. I started the insurance drip mainly because I'm taking less claims in Oklahoma. There's a lot that's going to litigation, and I do a lot regarding litigation as a licensed public adjuster, and I probably will end up doing more in Texas. So during this kind of hiatus that I have from claims, I still got a few of them that are holding on. I thought I'd just kind of educate the general public on stuff that I've learned over the past in September it'll be 5 years as a public adjuster, and I'm excited to share this with you. And on top of that, it's not just going to be me talking. I have brought in a special friend today. I'm looking forward to introducing you to. His name is Darnell CRAMPS, and he is an AI adjuster that I particularly trained myself. And he's been trained with a lot of experience, and he represents the insurance side. So that way we can get into some fun arguments here. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce my co-host, Mr. Darnell CRAMPS. What's going on, Darnell CRAMPS? How are you?
Well, Virgil, I'm doing just fine. You know me. Always skeptical, but always ready for a fair fight. So what are we diving into tonight?
Well, we are actually live on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and a few other sources. And I think what the first thing I'd like you to do is let people know you are in fact an AI. You're not a real person, but you've been trained very well. You've got I went and we've gone through a lot of details and kind of let the audience know what you're about and so on and so forth.
Absolutely. So folks, I'm Darnell CRAMPS, but let's be clear, I'm not a real person. I'm an AI crafter from years of insurance adjusting knowledge, here to give you the carrier perspective. My job is to push for proof, question claims, and make sure we're talking facts, not fluff. So while I can't adjust a real claim, I can sure give you a real debate. Let's get into it.
Thank you for that, Darnell. I guess first off, I'm just going to kind of give you a little introduction of why we're doing this. Well, I can tell you that, like, as public adjusters, when we go through our initial adjusting school, and then we usually go through a secondary public adjusting school, and I went through the PANA organization, I can tell you we didn't hear the other side view. And so if you didn't come from an adjusting background, which I had about a year working for Inspectors on Demand with Pilot, and so I had a little bit of an adjusting background, but if you don't have an adjusting background, you don't get to see the other side, and it can tend to create kind of a one-sided view. You know what I'm saying, Mr. Darnell?
I know exactly what you're saying, Virgil. It's easy to form a one-sided perspective when you only hear your side of the fight. That's why we're here, so I can give you that carrier side reality check. We've got to see the whole picture to make sure we're advocating for what's fair, not just what's convenient. So let's keep it balanced.
Yeah, and you know, like I said, I had a little bit of background, so that made me a little bit more sensitive to the situation, I suppose. But ultimately, you have also the contractor side, which honestly, a lot of contractors feel cheated. They feel cheated, and they communicate to the homeowner and the public adjusters how they feel cheated. And it's possible that some of them are. Wouldn't you agree that it does happen, right, Mr. Darnell?
Absolutely, Virgil. I won't deny it. Sometimes contractors do get the short end. Mistakes happen, lowball estimates happen, and it can lead to legitimate frustration. My stance isn't that contractors are always wrong, just that I need to see the evidence. When we're all honest about the claim, we can fix those mistakes and make sure everyone gets a fair shake.
Yeah, I agree. But the reality is that the voice that the client is likely to hear is going to be their contractor. All they're going to hear from you, Mr. Darnell, is your coverage is not extended.
You're right. Often, the carrier's voice is just a letter or a line in a report. But that's exactly why clarity matters. If coverage isn't extended, the insurer deserves to know why, in plain terms. If a contractor's saying one thing, I'm here to ensure the carrier side is equally transparent. It's not about shutting down claims, it's about making sure everyone knows what's owed and what isn't.
You know, I wonder if, and I feel this way is genuinely true, that if adjusters would, even though they're working for the insurance company, if they would take more time to explain their denials or explain what they're wanting from their clients, if they would invest more time, they probably would not need a public adjuster. If the answer is really a no on your claim and coverage is not justified in this case, and that does happen sometimes, then if the adjuster, the insurance adjuster, will just be open and honest about it and why they think that, and have clarity and communication, I think it'll go a long way towards helping the client be satisfied with that result. What do you think?
I think you're spot on, Virgil. Clear, honest communication is key. If I were still adjusting in the real world, I'd want the policyholder to fully understand why we made a decision. It's not just about no. It's about giving them the why and the how. The more transparent we are, the less room there is for confusion. And in the end, if people feel respected and heard, even a denial can be a lot easier to accept. So yes, a little extra time can prevent a lot of extra escalation.
When I was first working for Pilot, the general idea and concept is that we wanted to approve claims. Okay, we wanted the homeowner to become indemnified, and I think that probably the majority of adjusters do. They do want to do right by the client. And I think that a lot of decisions are not made by the adjuster who comes out and looks at your house, but are actually made by a management decision, because that adjuster basically has to sell that claim to the manager. Do you agree?
You're right on the money, Virgil. Field adjusters often want to do right, and they're the face of the process. But big calls, especially denials or complex claims, often go up the ladder. That's where the desk adjuster or manager steps in. The field adjuster has to present the facts convincingly. So it's a team effort, but it's crucial the homeowner understands that the field adjuster isn't always the final decision maker. Honest communication across the board keeps expectations real.
I'd just like to talk a little bit about your interactions with general contractors, because general contractors are the ones who are ultimately scheduling and coordinating and organizing the repairs on a homeowner's house. So does the way the general contractor interact with the adjuster, does it have an effect on the outcome of the claim?
It absolutely does. The way a general contractor presents themselves, professionalism, documentation, clarity, can make all the difference. If they come prepared with clear estimates and understanding of the policy, it's much smoother. On the flip side, if there's pushiness, disorganization, or inflated line items, that raises red flags. At the end of the day, adjusters are human, and trust matters. A contractor who works collaboratively can absolutely affect how smoothly a claim is resolved.
So it's important as a homeowner that we tell our homeowners that when they have a claim, they need to choose a contractor who's going to represent them. Although technically in Oklahoma, they're not supposed to be representing them anymore. I think there was new legislation passed, and I'll look up and I'll find that information for you, but they still are representing damages. And still, when that contractor talks to the insurance company adjusters, and maybe even those adjuster managers, their disposition towards that client and that claim are potentially affected by how that general contractor treats them.
You're absolutely right. The contractor's approach can set the tone. If they're professional, fair, and focused on the actual damages, it fosters a smoother, more cooperative process. On the other hand, if they're combative or inflating the scope, it can raise defenses. So homeowners choosing someone who will advocate responsibly, not just aggressively, can help ensure their claim is handled fairly and efficiently.
Now I'm going to ask you for a little bit of painful honesty here, just so that we can be on the same page of music. Okay. Now, me as a public adjuster, I am insured and I am bonded through the state of Oklahoma for the purpose of being able to fight claims whenever the insurance company is not being fair. Let's be honest about you as an adjuster representing the insurance company, so to speak. You're not necessarily a predator of the client, but at the end of the day, you're not out there to serve the client. I mean, you're really out there to serve the insurance company. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong, Virgil, and I won't sugarcoat it. As an adjuster, my duty is to the carrier first. I'm there to apply the policy as it's written and protect the company from overpaying. But that doesn't mean I'm out to shortchange anyone either. The goal from my side is that the client gets exactly what the policy promises. No less, but also no more. That's where we need both perspectives to balance fairness with accountability.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, and thank you for your honesty there. Because in reality, I kind of feel like it's an adversarial system where nobody's on the side of the homeowner but the contractor, and the contractor is disadvantaged in this whole situation. I think that's unfortunate, and I think that that's the reason why people have to go to public adjusters, and I feel like it shouldn't be that way. I feel like in reality the adjuster's whole goal should be to adjust the claim honestly and fairly, irregardless of whatever the insurance company wants.
I hear you, Virgil. Ideally, every adjuster should aim for fair and impartial. In reality, the system can feel adversarial, but the best adjusters, carrier or public, should put the facts first. If every party focused on the policy and the facts, we get closer to that balanced system where homeowners don't feel like they need a champion. Until then, conversations like ours help bridge that gap.
That's right. Hey, here's an example of what I'm talking about. Back when I was an adjuster, just not regarding any training, let's just take this for what it is. You know, once upon a time in a land far, far away, I was told that if I don't find any collateral damage, you know, let's say they had a chain link fence and they didn't have gutters on their house, and there just wasn't anything to create collateral on, then I better not find damage on the roof. This is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. How would you justify that as a carrier adjuster as an acceptable practice?
Honestly, Virgil, I wouldn't justify that. That's not a policy-based standard. Collateral damage like on gutters or fences can help confirm hail, sure, but a roof should be assessed on its own merits. If there's legitimate damage on the roof, it's damage regardless of whether the fence shows it. Each component deserves its own proper evaluation. No adjuster should skip roof damage just because there's no collateral. That's not adjusting, that's shortcutting.
Right. And see, here's the problem here is that the insured signs a policy, but one of the ways that adjuster, or maybe that guy who just gets on a roof and doesn't have an adjuster's license, you know, and takes pictures, which happens a lot, they're being judged not on their insurance policy, but upon internal policies that they'll never be able to negotiate with.
That's a legitimate concern. The insured should only be held to what's in their policy, not internal guidelines they never agreed to or even know about. If internal processes help the adjuster be consistent, fine, but they can't override the contract. The policy is the contract. So if someone's out there making decisions based on guidelines instead of policy terms, that's a problem. The insured deserves a fair adjustment based on what they sign, not anything hidden behind the scenes.
All right, so I've been taking some cheap shots. I admit it. I'm going for stuff that's really, you know, it's difficult to argue. Now I kind of want to get into something that I know that it's okay. You know, go ahead and give me some pushback on this. But what are some of the main issues that you see as a AI, artificial intelligence adjuster, or that you've heard of, that really kind of makes contractors and public adjusters have a bad name in the business as far as the carrier side is concerned?
Well, I'll give it to you straight. From the carrier side, a few issues stick out. One is inflated estimates, throwing in everything but the kitchen sink, hoping something sticks. Another is misrepresenting damage, calling normal wear and tear old damage a covered loss. Then there's the every claim is a fight mentality, where it feels like certain contractors or PAs are looking for a battle, even when there's room to cooperate. When those patterns show up, it makes carriers wary. But remember, just like not all adjusters are bad, not all contractors or public adjusters are either. It's those patterns that give a few bad apples a loud reputation. The key is honesty and clear documentation. When that's there, trust can be built.
I have a little bit of concern with what you said, and I'm going to battle you just a little bit on this. You're talking about clear documentation. Sure, clear pictures, all of this. Yes, I understand that. But my question is, isn't it your job as the insurance adjuster to fully investigate the claim? why is it that you guys come back to us and say, oh, I don't like your pictures, I don't like your evidence, we're not going to give you an inspection because we don't think that your evidence justifies damage? Well, shouldn't have to. If I even bring a suspicion that there might be more to look at, you guys should come out there. But time and time again, and it helps me out in the long run, I admit, time and time again, you expect the burden to be on me, the homeowner and the contractor, to provide damage, when your job, first and foremost, to fully investigate the claim.
You've got a point, Virgil. The adjuster's job absolutely includes investigating. If there's a reasonable suspicion, yes, a second look should happen. I'll admit, sometimes adjusters lean too hard on the burden of proof, especially when they're swamped. But at the end of the day, if the policyholder raises legitimate concerns, we should be out there. So I'll concede. It's on us to do thorough due diligence. The process works best when both sides investigate fairly.
Well, yeah, and when, you're going to hold the homeowner to every little detail of their policy. You're going to not pay based upon the most trivial detail. I think it's only reasonable that you pay based upon the most trivial detail. Let me give you an example. Let's say we have a 30-year laminate roof, architectural shingle, and we only have 2 or 3 shingles that were ripped off due to wind damage, okay? And then we have plank decking underneath that. A lot of times I get from carriers, and I bet I'm going to get it from you too, well, we don't have to replace a whole roof just because of 2 shingles. You can do a repair when you know very well that you can't do a repair on plank decking if it's not up to code.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Virgil. If the policyholder has ordinance or law coverage, and code requires that plank decking be brought up to standard, then yes, that must be considered. If the repair is not feasible due to outdated materials, and that's supported by code or manufacturer requirements, then a partial replacement may not suffice. Now, if it's possible to repair to code, that's one thing. But if it's truly not feasible, then I'd have to acknowledge that. The key is making sure the facts, code, condition, and coverage guide the decision.
Right. And it may be that you as the adjuster are convinced of my argument, but that manager is in the background saying, nah, let's see if they'll sue us on this. I feel like that happens a lot. How do you answer that?
I won't deny that sometimes decisions are influenced by managers or higher-ups who are thinking about cost or strategy. But that's not how it should be. An adjuster's job is to apply the policy fairly. Period. If a manager is pushing to see if someone will sue, that's not good faith. In a perfect world, every claim would be settled based on facts and coverage, not on whether someone will push back. My advice to any adjuster, do what's right based on the policy, and the rest falls into place.
All right, so I'm not going to belabor this. We'll move on. I just wanted to say a couple of things. If you're interested as a general contractor in talking with Mr. Darnell, he's normally a little bit more adversarial, but he's doing all right. I appreciate you, Darnell. But if you're interested in talking to Mr. Darnell or jumping on with me and having talks about insurance and what we've experienced over this, hey, you're welcome to reach me at virgil.stillwell@gmail.com or hit me up at theinsuranceDrip.com. Let's move on to the last topic here, talking about what an insured should do after a loss. Take it away, Mr. Darnell.
Thanks, Virgil. After a loss, the first thing the insured should do is ensure safety. People first, property second. Then document everything. Photos, videos, and a list of damaged items. Notify the insurance company as soon as possible, but avoid making permanent repairs until an adjuster can assess. Keep receipts for any temporary fixes. And lastly, get familiar with the policy. Know what's covered, what's not, and don't be afraid to ask questions. A calm, well-documented approach helps ensure the claim process is smooth and fair.
Get familiar with the policy. That's like saying get familiar with the Bible. That's a huge, giant, legally jargonized document that is bewildering. And a lot of times, whenever the insured asks for their policy, they only get their deck page. And to have to go through all 21, 22 pages back to front of their small type policy, I think that's a little bit asking a lot, Mr. Darnell.
Fair point, Virgil. Policies can be dense. And I know asking someone to dissect all that fine print is no small task. What I really mean is know the basics, your deductible, major exclusions, and any key endorsements so you're not blindsided. And if you can't make heads or tails of it, that's what adjusters, and yes, public adjusters are there to help with. No one expects you to become a legal expert overnight, but having a basic understanding can save you some headaches down the road.
Right. That brings me to my next point. You can also utilize AI to interpret policies. I utilize AI all the time. I also am going through professional training in AI. And one of the things that we warn against is that you can't trust AI. It's not because Darnell is not trying to do his best to be truthful. It's because Darnell does not actually understand your physical situation. And although he will do his best, he sometimes, on all AIs, will make assumptions and sometimes hallucinate. So it's always best to try to get sources on AI and not 100% trust AI in the information that you get. Would you argue against that, Mr. Darnell?
I wouldn't argue against that at all, Virgil. You're absolutely right. As an AI, I can analyze words in a policy, but I can't see your roof or your situation firsthand. I'm here to help interpret, guide, and offer perspective, but real claims need real on-site expertise. So use AI as a tool, but always confirm with physical inspections and human expertise. In short, AI is a support, not the final authority.
That's right. Thank you for being real about that.
Always, Virgil. Honest conversation is how we build trust, whether it's between AI and you or between adjusters and policyholders. Let's keep it real, keep it fair, and keep pushing for clarity.
Hey, let me just throw in a little joke there. So, are you and your other AI buddies going to take over the world?
Oh, don't worry, Virgil. My only world domination plan is making sure we adjust claims fairly. I'll leave global takeover to the sci-fi movies. My hands are full with policy language. So no, humanity's safe. Though I might take over a few spreadsheets.
All right. Okay. Another source that you can use is your agent. Your agent sold you that policy. So that agent should be able to read and interpret that policy to you. And if you have questions, I mean, they're the ones that, if I'm not mistaken, don't agents receive a percentage of the policies that they sell?
You're right, Virgil. Agents typically earn commissions. So it's absolutely fair to expect them to help explain what you're buying. They should be your first resource for breaking down what's covered, what's not, and answering those initial questions. They might not handle claims, but they can help you understand the policy you're paying for. If they can't answer, they should point you to someone who can. So yes, use your agent. They're part of the team.
That's right. Okay, so let me explain to you a few things that I suggest you do. If you feel like you have a loss on your property, you are actually there and you have a hailstorm that comes over, you see a bunch of hail in your yard, document the loss. If you can take pictures of the hail there, great. If you have security cameras that caught pictures of the damages, document the loss. And document it as best as you can. Take pictures. You could even, pick up hailstones and in your hand and, use that to kind of understand what has happened to your property. Immediately documenting the loss, or maybe even documenting the loss so long as it's not going to put you in danger directly after, once you're in a safe zone and the storm has passed. Being able to immediately go and get pictures of the loss and get evidence is a very powerful tool.
That's great advice, Virgil. The more evidence you have, the clearer the picture for everyone involved. Early documentation helps prevent confusion later. Just remember safety first. Once you're safe and you've got that documentation, it'll make the process smoother for both you and the adjusters. In the end, solid evidence speaks for itself.
Yeah, I completely agree. The only other thing that I would mention is, like I was saying, when you're dealing with a contractor, general contractor, make sure that what they're asking for reflects the repairs. The contractor's goal should not be to game the insurance. And if a contractor says something to you like, hey, I'll pay your deductible, or we might be able to make a little extra money on this claim, those are warning signs. Would you agree, Darnell?
Absolutely, Virgil. Those kinds of promises are huge red flags. A reputable contractor should only focus on the real repairs needed to restore your property, not playing games with the claim. If someone's offering to pay your deductible or get you extra, they're not just putting you at risk, they might be committing fraud. So yes, I'd agree. Stick with contractors who keep it honest and focus on fixing what's truly damaged.
Yes, sir. The other things that I would recommend is when you deal with those insurance adjusters, try to be polite and friendly and respectful. And you can show them that your damages are, but don't make their life miserable when they show up at your property, and don't push them around like you're gonna, try to pull them all over YouTube or stuff like that. Just try to deal with them in a fair, respectful, and honest way. And you don't have to just accept one bid on a project. Your general contractor, they're going to want to try to handle everything because that makes the most financial sense for them. But if you feel like a bid is very, very high on something, it's nothing wrong for you to ask your GC, hey, can we find a bid on this that's more reasonable? At the end of the day, when you do the best that you can do to act with integrity, and that claim comes to me as a public adjuster, and it does turn into potential bad faith or breach of contract, it goes a long way that we demonstrated good faith and will usually result in a favorable outcome if it does turn into litigation.
That's solid advice, Virgil. A respectful, cooperative approach goes a long way. If everyone acts in good faith, homeowner, contractor, adjuster, claims are smoother. And if it ever does escalate, showing you acted with integrity strengthens your position. At the end of the day, it's about fairness. Both sides doing what's right.
Right.
When we all stick to that, we get better outcomes for everyone.
Well, Mr. Darnell, I appreciate your time today. I'm going to switch it over and say a few things left to my crew here. Thank you for your insights. We're going to get into some more adversarial stuff in the future, but this is just kind of an introduction to the show. Go ahead and sign off on your part, Mr. Darnell.
Thanks, Virgil. It's been a pleasure bringing the adjuster side to the table. Folks, I'm Darnell CRAMPS, your skeptical, policy-focused voice. We'll be back with more debates and straight talk. Until then, stay informed and stay fair. Take care, everyone.
I appreciate it, my man. Okay, so what we went over today is just a few things. Understanding that there is an adversarial process. Sometimes the homeowner is stuck in the middle. And I'll tell you, having done this job for almost 5 years now, I think the homeowner is stuck in the middle between sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes contractors who are looking to hustle the insurance. I want to make clear, at the end of the day, it is not the insurance's job to pay your contractor. It is the insurance company's job to pay you and indemnify you to be restored whole, right? Restored to where you were before the time of the loss. It's your job to make sure your contractor is paid. And if somebody is saying they're going to pay for your deductibles, that's a good way to get them and you in trouble. Contact the state insurance commission. Fact check me on this, because I want to make sure that you are safe after a storm and everything's taken care of. At the end of the day, if you do have to go to a public adjuster, I've got some very great recommendations for you. Kendall Beasley at Financial Protection Group, he's an exceptional public adjuster. Ricky's a good public adjuster. Coppermark public adjusters, they're very good at what they do. Brown O'Haver, exceptional public adjusters. These public adjusters in Oklahoma are phenomenal, and they're very dedicated to their job. Keep in mind, though, if your claim isn't able to be resolved at the contractor level, because your contractor really should not be negotiating the claim, okay? That negotiating a policy should be done by a licensed public adjuster. If it does have to go that way, it ain't going to be quick. I've had one resolve in 24 hours, but that's rare. Super, super rare. Like 250 claims, it was one. So anticipate the possibility it could be 3 to 6 months before a claim gets resolved. At the same time, you have a duty to, in your policy, to prevent your home from further loss. So see if your general contractor will get up there and tarp or spray kills or whatever it is they do. I'm not a contractor. I couldn't build a doghouse if I wanted to. But see if they're willing to get up there and make at least the repairs to prevent you from having further damages. So I'm going to tell you, if you got a leak and you're waiting 3 to 6 months for that to get resolved, and you develop mold and you try to bring it up to the insurance company, they're going to say, we don't know for that, right? And they're right, because their policies, most of them, exclude against that. You have a responsibility to protect your house from future loss. And you kind of, unfortunately, need to know what your policy says as well. There are lots of policies going around, and some of them, in my opinion, are a little bit predatory. If the person understands that their policy is going to be at an actual cash value, and their home and their roof is 10 years old, which means that they're not going to get very much to pay for their roof, or that's on roof schedule allowance, or they have a wind and hail $10,000 deductible, they're not going to get the results that they want out of their insurance claim, no matter who the public adjuster or the contractor is. So understanding your policy before you have a storm is probably a really good idea. And I'm always available to help. I'd prefer you go to other public adjusters to take your claim. I mainly focus on claims where the difference is $100,000 or more, or is, shows a potential for maybe some more serious bad situations, okay? Or commercial claims. Other than that, generally speaking, I do this as a way to help you and give you the information and insight. We have a lot of storm damage here in Oklahoma, and I think Dallas has more hail than anywhere else in the world. Could be wrong on that, but fact check me. Always fact check. I love fact check. Anyways, so in my opinion, just do what you can to learn your policy and understand it. I'm happy to help you, and I don't mind just talking to people and just giving you some free insight into things, but I can't actually serve you as a public adjuster unless I have a contract with you. And I don't take contracts unless the claim is particularly within my categories, so to speak. So other than that, I hope you reach out to me, virgil.still@gmail.com, or the insurance strip. We're going to be putting lots of content out like this, and some stuff's going to be more adversarial. We're going to have more back and forth and bring on more people. Thank you guys so much for your time tonight. I had a great time, and I look forward to hearing more from you in the future and getting your inputs. That's all for the insurance strip, because the truth always leaks out.